A Tribe Called Quest just became the 12th rap artist to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this is a very important induction. Now, I'm not going to get into the is hip hop rock and roll topic as much. Simply put, a lot of today's rock Hall of Famers are not traditional rock and roll, which itself derived from the blues, country, gospel, rhythm and blues, and jazz, has influenced so many other modern genres and subgenres since, hip hop included. But this addition of A Tribe Called Quest into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is so significant because they are one of the most influential artists in rap history. While they weren't the first quote-unquote conscious group to come out, I mean, there were fellow rock Hall of Famers Public Enemy and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five that preceded them. Even their fellow Native Tongues family, De La Soul, slightly predated them. But A Tribe Called Quest is probably one of the first and most influential jazz sample heavy groups when you consider the evolution of beat making, with Tribe's beat style being much different with their 90, 91, and 93 album releases than most of what was popular at the time. I mean, just listen to that Cal Jader, Aquarius playing on those Midnight Marauders automated phone skits. To say Tribe went against the grain would be an understatement. Their music placed so much emphasis on the sound and the vibe, which was often more mellow and down-tempo than most popular rap music. The classic A Tribe Called Quest lineup was MC producer Q-Tip, MC Phife Dawg, Jarobi, and DJ Ali Shaheed Muhammad, who also co-produced with Q-Tip, and who I was surprised was not at the Hall of Fame induction. He must have a busy schedule. And then Consequence came along in the mid-90s, specifically on that Beats, Rhymes, and Life album in '96. Now, Q-Tip has a vocal sound that truly is iconic. Only Q-Tip sounds like that, except for maybe the late Magoo. But Q-Tip is definitely one of the greatest mellow voice MCs ever, along with rappers like Slick Rick and Snoop Dogg, but with his own very unique style. Not an ultra lyricist either. I mean, neither of them were, Q-Tip or Phife Dawg in that sense. Like, Tip and Phife weren't competing with the Rakims, KRS-Ones, or Big Daddy Kanes, but they held their own pocket in a way that only they could, with an unbelievable and unusual chemistry between Tip and Phife. For guys with such contrasting vocal timbres and different lyrical approaches, with Phife being the more punchline based and Q-Tip kind of serving as the palate cleanser, the tone setter. He might be nicknamed the Abstract, but Q-Tip is really one of the easiest on the ears to ever do it. Tip is also a very underrated producer. Check out some of his production credits, such as Nas's One Love from Illmatic, a couple songs from Mobb Deep's The Infamous. He even co-produced Mariah Carey's Honey, along with A Tribe Called Quest catalog. Now, A Tribe Called Quest, who dropped their debut in 1990, released a total of 6 albums, 5 of which were within 8 years. That's the 90 debut, all the way to the Love Movement in 98, where they then disbanded. They came back for one more album in 2016, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, which dropped a few months after their beloved member Phife Dawg passed away at 45. That 2016 album, by the way, was also critically acclaimed, although I would say that their 2 greatest albums, the ones considered to be the best classics, were 91's Low End Theory, largely recognized as their greatest album, and the one that you usually see the highest ranked on the greatest rap albums ever list, and then 93's Midnight Marauders, which is some people's #1 Tribe album, usually if they were born a little later than those who came up at the time of Low End Theory, but those are most consistently recognized as their top 2, with Low End Theory often placed in the top 10 greatest rap albums ever. All that being said, A Tribe Called Quest's legacy has almost nothing to do with commercial success and almost everything to do with cultural influence. Sure, they have 2 #1 albums out of their 6, those surprisingly being 96's Beats, Rhymes, and Life and their newest album. Not totally unexpected though, given rap's slow but steady growth on the Billboard charts. Rap wasn't getting played on a lot of pop radio. It was really only artists like MC Hammer who were the chart toppers at the start of the 90s. I mean, even freaking LL Cool J didn't have a #1 album until 2000's The GOAT. That was LL's 8th album. Let that sink in. But A Tribe Called Quest weren't blockbuster album sellers, nor do they even have a song that cracked the top 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. I think Award Tour from 93's Midnight Marauders was their highest charting song at 47. However, when you look at the rap landscape and the changes in rap's direction through the different eras, when you look at that late 90s to the early to mid 2000s neo-soul era, where conscious rap started to merge into the mainstream before and during Kanye West's college dropout era and that run of features and production credits that he had, with everyone from Slum Village to Dilated Peoples. You look at Common's career, Outkast, The Roots, Yasin Bey, who was then Mos Def, Talib Kweli. Many of these artists were the musical offspring of A Tribe Called Quest. When you consider their sound, their production or beat selection, their content, often their fashion, and their willingness to go against the grain and be different, many of them have A Tribe Called Quest to thank for that. Tribe also introduced most fans to Busta Rhymes in '91 through their Low End Theory closer, The Posse Cut Scenario, even though I know the Leaders of the New School debut album dropped just before that. Furthermore, Q-Tip helped the late legend Jay Dilla's career get started by introducing him to the Pharcyde. The story goes, Q-Tip introduced Dilla to the Pharcyde when Dilla was going by JD, which he did for most of his career. Listen to Common's Hot Track 2 from 2000's Like Water for Chocolate. You hear Common shout out JD in the beginning, since Dilla produced nearly that entire album. But Q-Tip was talking to a member of the Pharcyde, or their DJ producer Jay Swift. This was after the Pharcyde's Bizarre Ride debut, and Tip was telling him that he met this producer JD, and then the Pharcyde member thought that Q-Tip was playing with him, and that JD was really an acronym of Q-Tip's real name initials, Jonathan Davis, JD. But Tip was serious. He had this producer that went by JD, who would then go on to produce much of the Pharcyde's second album, 95's Lab Cabin California, including the classic singles Runnin' and Drop. Dilla then produced much of Tribe's Beats, Rhymes, and Life album, and on the Love Movement, as a part of the Ummah collective, and the rest is history. So Q-Tip and A Tribe Called Quest have impacted hip-hop in so many ways, both directly and indirectly, and their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame seems very appropriate. And you can't tell the story of hip-hop without mentioning some of Tribe's classics, like Can I Kick It, Bonita Apple Plum, Check the Rhyme, Vibes and Stuff, We Got the Jazz. I really love Excursions, the Low End Theory opener. There's a War Tour, Electric Relaxation, which is a lot of people's favorite, and samples Ronnie Foster's Mystic Brew, which the genius producer Madlib also used on that Shades of Blue album, where he used a lot of samples from Blue Note Records. And I think his song was called Mystic Bounce. But yeah, years before that, Tribe sampled Ronnie Foster's Mystic Brew on Electric Relaxation. Again, a fan favorite, kind of a lounge favorite in certain venues. There's once again Stressed Out, The Jam, The Hop, Find a Way, Tribe's early feature on De La Soul's Buddy. Yeah, A Tribe Called Quest is truly one of the most influential artists in hip-hop history. I hope you enjoyed this acknowledgement of Tribe Called Quest induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love hip-hop and music in general like I do. I'm Woog, thanks for tuning in.